Welcome to the Mexpreneurs Podcast, the podcast about the stories of Mexican tech startup founders who are building world-class, fast-growing companies and having a positive impact at a large scale. My name is Sergio Chavez. I'm a Mexican based in Germany, a tech startup founder, executive, and mentor, and your host. Today we welcome back Marc Freudenberg. Marc is founder and CEO of the Uncommon Lab, a material science startup based in Guadalajara, Mexico. The Uncommon Lab develops innovative B2C products that apply scientific principles from tribology and material sciences. It is a spin-off of the Interlub Group, a leader in specialized industrial lubricants founded in 1984 by Marc's dad, Peter Freudenberg. The Uncommon Lab brings Interlub's expertise to consumer markets. Since its launch, it has seen strong traction in Mexico, primarily via Baking Alchemy, a non-stick baking and cooking product. It has achieved nearly 100,000 followers on social media, partnered with over 100 distributors throughout the country, and won awards as Empresas Excepcionales. As CEO of the Uncommon Lab, Marc is responsible for the overall company vision, leadership, strategy, and go-to-market. In addition to Marc, there's a small, dedicated team primarily focused on marketing and sales, including building the brand, establishing partnerships, and selling Baking Alchemy's products. The Uncommon Lab also leverages Interlub Group's infrastructure, especially its research and development and product teams, through which they continue to improve and expand their product portfolio. I hope you enjoy. Support for this episode comes from Skyflare, a cybersecurity company with a mission to make e-commerce safe for online shops and which currently protects dozens of Shopify-based businesses through its 360 degrees holistic protection. As an online shop owner, you know that every cent you spend in online advertisement counts, especially in Google AdWords. Therefore, keeping a tight control of your budget and the ROI are essential. Nevertheless, there are bad actors out there who can make those costs explode. Skyflare's Click Fraud Protection solution helps you prevent and resolve those threats. At Mexpreneurs, we had the privilege to have Skyflare's founders in the podcast, including Juan Ocampo, a Mexican tech startup founder, and Skyflare's Chief Operations Officer. Visit skyflare.com/mexpreneurs to learn more and also to get a 10% discount during your first 3 months of your annual subscription. Skyflare is at the moment available in Europe, Mexico, and Canada through the Shopify App Store. Hello, Marc. Welcome back.
Hello, Sergio. Thanks for having me here.
And thank you for being here with us once again, Marc. Please tell us, what is the Uncommon Lab?
The Uncommon Lab is an organization that's focused on producing B2C goods based on scientific principles, including tribology and material sciences. And the Uncommon Lab is a spin-off, is part of another organization that's called Interlub Group. Interlub Group also uses the same principles, but they're focused on producing release agents and lubricants for industrial applications. So we're kind of the B2C side of the lubricants and release agents. That's basically the Uncommon Lab.
There's a lot of interesting things to unpack from that definition. So first and foremost, you mentioned tribology. So for those of us that don't know the term, so what exactly is tribology?
Tribology is, let's say, a scientific discipline within mechanical engineering that's basically focused on friction, wear, and lubrication. This means this is the science that studies lubrication and the effects of friction and what effects can the lubrication have on friction to optimize it. So this is the basic discipline that we use for developing our products.
And if I understand correctly, tribology is also closely interconnected with other scientific disciplines.
Definitely with chemistry, physics, and engineering in general. And tribology, maybe just to mention this, has in the recent years focused on new disciplines or evolution of disciplines. For example, nanotechnology is now playing a key role in actually the formulation of lubricants. For example, biotechnology is also having an impact on the products. These are areas of study where science is advancing every year. This is new ground, actually. On a scientific level, this is actually new stuff. We have a whole set of researchers here in Mexico that are experts on different disciplines, and they work together to provide the best lubrication solutions, basically to develop products that are adjusted for specific conditions in industrial processes or in B2C markets.
And also something that you mentioned in the definition of the Uncommon Lab is that it's a spin-off and it's also focused on the B2C side of the business. So it's a spin-off of Interlub. Could you briefly walk us through what exactly is Interlub and the focus of Interlub, which from my understanding has been primarily B2B, and how exactly this idea of B2C came along?
Interlub Group is a company that's 40 years old, and it basically has been focused on producing and selling lubricants for industrial applications in different segments.
This month of October, you're actually celebrating the 40th anniversary.
Yes, exactly. This October we're celebrating. So this is a very nice cycle. 40 years is a long time, and we're thinking about the next 40 years. So very interesting reflections.
I cut you off. So Interloop is, again, this long tradition company established in different B2B segments. Could you please walk us into, okay, what exactly are those different segments that Interloop has traditionally served? And again, how exactly did this idea of B2C occur?
Basically, Interlub Group, as I was saying, develops lubricants for different industrial applications, but we're focused on specialized lubricants because there's, like, let's say the commodity lubricants that are very low value, low price also, and there's like the specialized lubricants for very specific applications. For example, we have applications in the glass industry, for example, release agents in the glass industry for the production of bottles. This is one of the industries that we serve. We serve also, for example, for the production of steel. In Mexico, we have many of the biggest steel makers are using our greases. Then in metalworking, we have also many products that are used for the forming of different metal pieces. And we have also for food grade lubricants for industrial processes, but involving the food industry. These are some of the key industries that we're actually serving. And coming to the second part of the question is, what we were thinking about is, okay, we have all these industries and we have all these technologies. We have more than 700 products, and many of those products and those technologies can actually be used for consumer markets. And that's how the idea of the Uncommon Lab came to existence. And this is why we founded the Uncommon Lab, because we thought, okay, we have developed so great technology. We have really differentiated products. We can do this also on a spin-off, but with a different market logic, because it's very different to sell to one of the biggest steel makers in Mexico than to sell to many, many clients, but that are consuming very little, right? So consumer goods work differently. This is how we came to creating the Uncommon Lab.
And also, if I recall from our previous conversation, through the Common Lab, you guys have already launched multiple products. Could you walk us through the products that have been created as a result of the Uncommon Lab?
We have basically 4 product lines that we have developed. One of the big ones that we're very focused on currently is called Baking Alchemy. And Baking Alchemy is for baking industry, actually, as the name is saying. And one of the products that we have developed there is release agents for basically cakes. So this is a heavy use product for pastries, for bakeries that are actually producing a lot. So in Mexico, we have many, there's like thousands of customers that can use this product. This is one of the brands. During COVID, we launched also a brand that was called AXL. And AXL was basically sanitizers that had nanotechnology within them. So what happened is that through this nanotechnology, the sanitizing effect could have long-lasting effect. It would last for several hours or days. So during COVID, this was like really important to have everything clean. So we had this sanitizer. We worked with government, we worked with big companies. But to be honest, when COVID ended, or basically ended, the organizations and the people that were using these products, the market was not there afterwards. So we decided to close this product line. It was super interesting technology. Actually, if we have another pandemic, we have the products ready to go. But this was a lot of uncertainty on the market side because this was not a stable business, let's say. So this was a second one that this was a very successful product line during 2 years, but then we closed it down. We have also other product lines. This is not yet launched, but one is for chains of bicycles. It's called Chain Reaction or product line. That has nothing to do with the other 2 product lines, but we have been developing with specialized cyclists a special lubricant that's for really high performing cyclists, people that perform at competitions. We're working on this product line. line. And finally, we have another product line that's basically complementary actually to the other two, a cleaner, and it's biodegradable cleaner that works super well. It works, for example, for the baking industry, so you can clean the molds, or it works for the chains of the bicycle, so you can clean the chain really fast. These are some of the things that we're working on, but currently Baking Alchemy is actually the one that we're focusing on, and that's really growing a lot.
These four products that you just mentioned, they all have tribology at the core. Like that's the core technology that, let's say, connects all of these products. But the focus of all of them is B2C.
Exactly. All of those, what the challenge has been for us is to see what is in the market and to see, okay, can we actually make something better than the best product in the market? And this has been our philosophy. And this has been the philosophy, for example, the release agent that we developed for pastry is, okay, we look at the best one and can we actually improve on that? That's the way we're working. So we have really high value and really differentiated products that obviously, as they are more high value, they are also more high price. So we're kind of working on a premium side, let's say. But all of those have been using the concepts of tribology. For example, the chain loops are using also nanotechnology. So we're using nanoparticles for the formula of the oil, or biotechnology also. Because, for example, for the baking industry, we need to have biotechnology and a lot of knowledge on that side. So all of them are technologically based on material science and tribology.
Now I can see where the name of Uncommon Lab comes from, because when you start looking at the portfolio of products, it's also in a wide array of different products, different industries as well, from baking to sanitizers to bicycles, the cleaner. Well, the cleaner, as you mentioned, it overlays with the other products, but those are three completely different use cases, completely different applications. It's fascinating how you guys are building, again, this laboratory for new business ideas and new applications. But then let's dive into Baking Alchemy, because as you mentioned, that's right now the key focus where you've seen the greatest traction. Please walk us into what exactly is some of that traction that you guys have achieved with Baking Alchemy since you guys launched it.
Baking Alchemy was first launched. We were learning in the process. So this has been like our prototype to learn everything that we need to know about B2C markets. We started developing Baking Alchemy as a concept and just to try it and see if bakers were liking it. So we actually started on social media because this was the best way our brand gets known, because you have other options like doing publicity and so on, offline publicity. But we thought that social media was the best way to get feedback from potential customers and also to get some traction about the business. That's where we started, and we have been building our social media heavily. This has been one of our key strategies, and this is the brand positioning strategy. So on the brand positioning, it's big numbers for us. We're having almost, between TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, almost 100,000 followers. This is like a lot of followers for a brand that's small like ours. We have a lot of views. We were calculating this year, we have around 7 million views within different videos and so on. One of the key strategies has been to develop content with the bakers and with the baking industry, because baking is one of the most viewed social media topics. This is like a really nice and interesting industry, and we're working with a lot of influencers of this niche. So the content is really creative and really different. It's not like publicity itself, but it's like organic content. One of the big milestones and one of the big learnings that we have had so far was on social media. This has been definitely fundamental for the positioning of our brand. And on the other side, we had to build a whole capacity in terms of sales. First, we had to understand how the market actually works and understand, as a producer, what's your role in that market. Because you can sell directly to customers. This has been, and this was our first strategy, and it has been somehow successful. We developed the e-commerce channels. So we're active on our own website built on Shopify. We're active on Amazon, and we're active in Mercado Libre. That's also a very important platform here in Mexico. We were active on those because we were a fully digital company at the beginning in terms of sales. And we have been developing in the recent 2 years a whole network of distributors within Mexico. So how the market actually works is you need to go to the distributors, and the distributors go to the local baking shops in all of Mexico. This is the way that we have been developing the market. And this has been also very important for us. We have already between distributors and points of sales. We have more than 100 here in Mexico, but we have many more to go. We have also some challenges. For example, we want to get into normal retail, let's say, into the supermarkets like Costco, Walmart, and so on. We have not achieved this yet, but this is kind of how we're building this company and this product positioning.
I recall you mentioned you guys have already received some awards. Could you talk a little bit about that?
We received a very interesting award that's called Empresas Excepcionales. In English, it's like exceptional companies. It's given by some Mexican organizations of empresarios of big companies. It's sponsored by the CCE, which is like a big organization here in Mexico. We received the prize Empresas Excepcionales on the topic of giving the customer an exceptional experience. This was very nice for us because what's most important on this side of the market is that the customer, or the baker in this case, has the best experience with our product. And we could prove that. We had evidence that actually we give qualitative advantage to the process itself of baking. This was a very nice award. We received it in March. So we're very proud of that.
Those are already some great achievements, what you mentioned in terms of the following that you've been creating, the distribution, the reach, and also those type of awards. We will be right back for a conversation with our guest. Support for this episode comes from Partnership Leaders, the leading community of partnership professionals and executives in SaaS and tech with over 1,500 members globally. We're living in the decade of the ecosystem, and every CEO needs to become a partnership leader. Just take a look at the top companies in the world today like Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They have all become platform companies, and partnership executives in IT have been the ones leading these transformations. Partnership Leaders brings these executives together and is building a playbook to enable CEOs and business leaders across industries to transform their organizations into platform companies. If you're a tech startup founder, Partnership Leaders is the place for you to learn how to leverage partnerships to take your business to the next level. I'm a member of PL and co-host of the Germany chapter and have seen firsthand the richness and value of this incredible community. Visit partnershipleaders.com to learn more and to apply to become a member. Make sure to mention in your application that Mexpreneurs referred you so you can receive a special price if your application is accepted. Marc, I would love to switch gears to talk about the team behind the Uncommon Lab. So I have the pleasure to talk to you today as the founder of the Uncommon Lab. Who's the people behind the Uncommon Lab?
Currently, we are a small team. It's not a very big team. And that's why it's some big achievements for the team that we're focused on this topic. Currently, we have a team consisting of social media. As I said, one of the big parts of us is to have a very important and very present social media. This is fundamental for the brand positioning. So we have one person there. And on the sales side, we have currently 3 people that are working on the sales side. And basically what they have to do is to develop collaborations with distributors, but not only collaborations, because once you sell the product to the distributor has to sell it to the local shops, but the shops have to sell it to the customer. And if the customer doesn't know us, how is the local shop gonna sell our product? So we have developed a whole strategy to make what they call trade marketing. That's basically all the marketing that you need on site so the product moves. This is also a very important part of the sales team. It's not just sales itself, but it's trade marketing. So it's how can we empower the local baking shops so they can sell more our products.
And also in terms of the research and development behind the product, if I understand correctly, you're currently leveraging some of the expertise that you have in-house at the Interlub Group. Could you walk us a bit into how exactly that works?
Normally, what we do on the product development side is we look at the challenge. We see, like in this case, the sticking of cakes when making the release of the mold is a big problem for the baking industry. So we look at that problem and we see, okay, are there solutions already existing in the market for that product? Okay, and we can find other release agents, let's say. And when we see these release agents, we take samples and we start analyzing it in our laboratory and see what they're made of and what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses. And what we try is to create a product that gives a benefit for more than what's already existing. That's the way we develop normally our products. This is the way we developed actually Baking Alchemy. and other products we have developed in the same structure. That's basically how we develop products. And we have researchers that are focused on different topics. So you can have this product, for example, was developed by a researcher that has good knowledge into the industry and that actually knows a lot about biotech. This is the guy that actually develops the product, and then we introduce it to the market and so on.
It's incredible how you're covering all the different bases. Also, I think what's super powerful is how you're, again, leveraging the resources of the family business of Interlub to build these spin-off, but now little by little having a dedicated team specifically for the Uncommon Lab as the business grows. And now switching gears into the priorities of the Uncommon Lab for the next, let's say, 3 to 6 months. What are some of the big things that you guys have coming up?
One of the big topics is to have national coverage in all of Mexico. So we want to be in all the cities in Mexico. We're in, I think, 20 states already in Mexico, but we need to have national coverage. Obviously, the big cities are the ones that sell more, but this is one of the priorities that we need to have a national coverage on all of Mexico. So the product is being found. Another important milestone that we want to make is to go into the US. We already have the certifications that we need to have for exporting into the US. And as we're a small team, we have no capability of doing everything at once. But the US is definitely a big market. An interesting market also, obviously, because it's the neighboring country, but because the community of Mexicans that know our product in the US is also interesting. That's kind of the strategy that we're following there. We want to grow on social media. We have always higher objectives every year. Another big thing is, since we are already a positioned brand in this industry, in this niche, we want to start working on making more products for that niche. So we're still thinking about some ideas of products that can actually work in that niche. But again, they need to have like this very specific advantage. We need to find some problem and we need to have a better solution than what is existing in the market. So we're in that process, but in the next 12 months, we want to launch more products into that niche.
And also, one common topic across, I think, most startups is, of course, the topic of financing. But if I understand correctly, in your guys' case, let's say you still benefit from the fact of being part of a broader organization and having the possibility of still finance it through the own resources of the mother company. So could you please just walk us briefly into how exactly that works?
So we're basically a private group, Interlub Group, a family-owned company that's basically all self-finance. Obviously, we have external finance from the banks, but we don't have external capital. So basically, it's a group that invests a lot into innovation, into new product development, and also innovation in a broader sense, not just on a technological side, but also on the market side. So this is one of the key principles of the company, to spend a significant amount of the resources of the company into innovation. And that's the way we have been financing the project and the spin-off. And what we try to do, and maybe this is somehow different than startups, is we try to be profitable. We try that all our businesses, including all the industrial businesses and the B2C businesses, that all can be relatively quickly profitable, because maybe we're more of a traditional organization. So basically, every one of our business units has to have its own P&L, its own people, its own focus, and so on and so forth. That's what we're trying to do. Obviously, in a market that's new for us, in a topic that's new for us, B2C, we can have more patience into profitability, but the important part is that we need to be profitable. And we're trying to build a business with that logic, because if we build an unprofitable business, for us, it can be difficult to make it profitable afterwards. So in that sense, we're more, let's say, a traditional company.
And actually, I think that's fascinating, because even if you look into the startup landscape, the focus on profitability in the past months has just been increasing significantly. And of course, it's not always possible, especially if you think about deep tech ventures, which have long product development cycles. But the fact that you guys are already leveraging good amount of the technology that you have already developed through all of these 40 years of the existence of Interlub, it already gives you an edge to be able to drive that profitability or accelerate that profitability compared to some other net new ventures. That's incredible. And Marc, we're unfortunately reaching the end of our conversation, and I would love to once again ask you for your best advice for aspiring founders. In our previous conversation, you already gave some great advice in terms of focusing on a specific niche. We talked multiple times today about the niche, especially with Baking Alchemy Alchemy that you guys are focused on with bakeries. But any other major advice that you could share with other aspiring founders?
For example, what I was thinking about is currently, especially in B2C markets, what we can see is that we have these very big brands like Procter and Gamble, Unilever. These are heavy, heavy brands where it's difficult for you to compete with them on a head-to-head basis. So you need to become creative. My advice for B2C brands is you need to have a significant brand. You need to have it's not longer possible to have a brand that is normal. You need to make a different brand, a significant brand. And I think the market is moving into that direction. If you can do a brand that's really significant, that's different, then you can actually gain little by little parts of the market and build a brand that's actually successful.
And I think that advice is equally applicable in the B2B space. Now, I think it's just the fact that everything is getting so crowded that the need for a unique and a differentiated value proposition is extremely important.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And there's an opportunity to develop this type of brands, but you need to really think about it, about the value proposition, about what's your brand about, what's significant for the customer.
100%. Those are some fascinating advices and golden nuggets. Well, Marc, thank you very much for these fascinating conversations. I think you guys have a lot of great things ahead of you. And of course, wish you all the best. We'll be looking very closely into the next steps of the Uncommon Lab. But in the meantime, thank you very much for being here today with us.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergio. I think it's great what you're doing, supporting and talking to great entrepreneurs. I think we can all learn from the topics and from the conversations that you're having.
That's the plan. Marc, thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the day and see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergio. See you soon.
Bye-bye. And thanks to you for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe via your favorite podcast app to be notified about new episodes and share with us your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Thank you also to the Maxpreneurs team, Valeria Morel, Hector Barragan from Hyper Voltage, Francisco Jaimes, Pamela Elizalde, Katia Cruz, Rocío Marroquín. I am Sergio Chavez. See you next time.